Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. This time, we're apparating straight into the world of Harry Potter.
Yes.
Yeah, the upcoming HBO series to be exact.
Okay.
All the casting news has us brewing up some theories. What do you think it tells us about where the show's headed?
Oh, casting is huge, especially for something like Harry Potter. I mean, everyone's got their own picture of these characters in their heads, right?
It's true. It feels like just yesterday we were all lining up for the movies, and now a whole new generation gets to experience the magic with new faces.
Right. And it's such a tightrope walk for the producers, you know? You've got to balance what the fans want with bringing something new to the table.
For sure. And the early rumors, those had us all talking. Mark Rylance, the Oscar winner, he was supposedly up for Dumbledore.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine the weight he'd bring to the role? That, almost mischievous twinkle in his eye.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean. The original films did this so well, casting unknowns for the kids, which let them really become those characters, and then bringing in those big names for the adults. Yeah.
Maggie Smith as McGonagall.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Absolutely.
And it was like this on-screen mentorship thing, almost mirroring what was happening in the story.
Like life imitating art? Or was it art imitating life? I can never remember.
Exactly.
But it sounds like HBO's taking a page from that playbook. They're doing these open casting calls all over the UK.
Oh, cool.
Hitting up all those famous theater schools. It makes me think they're really searching for raw talent, Like that spark, more than just a big name.
That's really interesting, especially with something this massive. You'd think they'd just go straight for the A-listers, the big box office draws, right?
Yeah.
But sticking with open calls, it suggests they're really focused on finding the right feel, just like they did with, Radcliffe, Watson, and Grint way back when.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of finding that perfect fit, there's been some sad news about Rylance, actually. Explains why we won't be seeing him with Dumbledore's beard.
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, very sadly, Rylance's wife, Claire Van Campen, recently passed away.
Oh, that's off. Yeah, it makes you remember that behind all this Hollywood stuff, there are real lives going on. Totally makes sense that he'd step back. Needs time to grieve, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yes, sending him our best.
Absolutely. But then, just as we were processing that, boom, another name pops up. And this one's a bit of a curveball.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
John Lithgow. He's apparently in the running for Dumbledore.
Huh.
Threw me a bit, I'll admit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the original films, and even some early stuff from HBO, they seem to really emphasize British and Irish actors for authenticity.
Yeah, true.
So to have an American actor suddenly in the mix, I was like, wait, what's going on here?
I see your point. It is a surprise. But before you write it off completely,
Right.
Lithgow's actually played some pretty big British roles. I mean, he won an Emmy for playing Winston Churchill in The Crown, right?
Yeah.
And he's even done Roald Dahl on stage. Plus, he's no stranger to London theater. So maybe he can pull it off.
Okay, yeah, you're making me rethink this. He's definitely got the acting skills.
Yeah.
But it still feels like a change in strategy, Like maybe HBO's hinting at being a bit more flexible with how they cast these iconic characters.
Yeah. That is the big question, isn't it? Are they going to be super strict about it being British actors, or will we see more of these, let's call them creative interpretations as the series goes on?
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out with the rest of the cast, that's for sure.
It really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
What other surprises they might have up their sleeve? Could this mean we might see even an American Harry Potter?
Whoa, slow down there. But yeah, I see what you're saying. This Lithgow thing definitely raises some eyebrows. Makes you wonder how far they'll go from the original plan,
Yeah. Are they sticking with that classic British feel or going for something a bit more international? I mean, the wizarding world, a global thing.
That's true. And think about it practically. It's not a movie, it's a whole series. They'll need a massive cast. Characters from everywhere in the wizarding world, right?
So many.
So maybe this is them casting a wider net, looking for the best actors wherever they are.
That makes sense. And you know what else makes me think about the size of this series?
What's that?
All the talk about Hogwarts Legacy, the video game,
Yeah.
and how it might connect to the show. We were just talking about old and new. Could that be a way to bring in storylines and characters we never saw in the books?
Ooh, now that's where things get interesting. Hogwarts Legacy is set way before Harry, right? So there's all this unexplored history, a whole different era they could show us.
Right.
Imagine seeing, a young Dumbledore. Or even Voldemort before he was,
Voldemort.
Oh my God, stop. My inner fangirl can't take it. But seriously, the possibilities are huge. We could get whole episodes dedicated to storylines from the game, or see characters from the game popping up in the show.
Exactly.
Talk about expanding the world and making it even richer for fans.
And don't forget the technical side. Bringing in Hogwarts Legacy means HBO can use all the amazing work they did designing the game.
Those stunning visuals, the detailed environments, they might even be able to use the character models. It's a huge advantage for them, visually.
And think about the marketing. You've got fans of the game getting hyped for the show, and vice versa. It's like this perfect match, creating a whole new level of excitement.
Right.
It's almost like they're building this giant interconnected wizarding universe.
Yeah.
With the show as the main event.
It's a smart move, definitely. But it does come with challenges.
Oh, for sure.
They need to make those Hogwarts Legacy parts feel natural, not forced.
Yeah.
And they can't mess with the canon too much. Die-hard fans will be watching, making sure everything lines up.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of eyes on this. But it's like brewing a tricky potion, isn't it? You need the right amount of each ingredient to make something magical.
I like that analogy.
Too much Hogwarts Legacy, and you might lose the fans who just care about Harry's time.
Exactly.
But too little, and it feels like a missed opportunity.
It's a balancing act, that's for sure. But HBO's got a pretty good track record with fantasy, like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. They know how to build worlds and tell complex stories.
True. And let's be real, they wouldn't touch Harry Potter if they weren't ready to go all out. They know the pressure's on. But beyond the technical stuff, the world building, there's something else I'm thinking about. Remember how the original films, even the early ones, touched on those bigger themes? Prejudice, social hierarchy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even when they seemed lighthearted, they were dealing with some heavy stuff. Like, think about Slytherin House. It was often shown as this breeding ground for pure-blood elitism, right?
Right.
That's a pretty direct connection to real-world prejudice.
Exactly. And then there was the whole Ministry of Magic trying to control the story, hide information. Which feels kind of relevant these days, right?
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
So, do you think the series will explore these themes more directly, since they have more time to dig into the details?
I think they almost have to. You can't ignore those parallels, especially now. And with a series, they can really get into those nuances in a way the films couldn't. They could even create new storylines that directly address these issues, maybe even through characters who weren't fully fleshed out in the books.
Like, what if we got a whole arc about Remus Lupin as a kid, struggling with being a werewolf, or a deeper look at how house elves are treated? I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Me too. And let's not forget about social commentary. The books were written during a time of a lot of change, politically and socially, and you can feel that anxiety in the stories. Imagine how they might reflect what's happening now, the worries and divisions we're dealing with.
Whoa, now you're really making me think. This series could be so much more than just a trip back to Hogwarts. It could be a reflection of our time, a way to look at those uncomfortable truths through this world we love.
And that's what makes great stories, isn't it? It's not just about escaping reality. It's about using those fantastical elements to make us think, to challenge our own views.
You know what? I'm starting to think this series could be groundbreaking. Like, it could change what a Harry Potter story can be. But with all this talk about big ideas and social commentary, there's one thing I haven't heard anyone mention. And it's kind of a big part of the whole Harry Potter experience.
Oh, you mean?
The music. John Williams' score for the films is legendary, right? Those themes are so recognizable, they just take you right back to Hogwarts. So will they use those classic melodies in the new series? Or go in a totally different direction?
That's a great question, and honestly, I'm not sure. On one hand, it's hard to imagine Harry Potter without that music. It's so ingrained in our minds. But on the other hand, if they really want this to be its own thing, maybe a new sound is the way to go. Like a musical way of saying this is a new chapter, not just a repeat.
Yeah, I see both sides. Do you go for the nostalgia, give fans that familiar feeling, or do you go bold and create something completely new, something that reflects how the story has evolved?
It's a tough choice. But you know what? It's actually a perfect example of the challenge this whole series faces. It's all about finding that balance, honoring the old while creating something new.
You're so right. That brings us right back to what we've been saying. This HBO series isn't just a reboot, it's a reimagining. It's a chance to revisit this world we love, find new stories, and maybe even learn something new about ourselves along the way. And that's what makes it so exciting. We've got casting surprises, connections to the Hogwarts legacy world, and the promise of stories that are going to make us think.
It's a recipe for something amazing, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like Harry stepping onto platform 934 for the first time. We're all about to go on a brand new adventure. But unlike the Hogwarts Express, which always goes to the same place, the journey of this series is still unfolding. We're all along for the ride, and who knows what we'll find.
I can't wait to see what
It
happens.
feels like we could talk about this for hours.
I know, right?
You know, it's funny. We were deep in the weeds with casting and Hogwarts legacy. But that thing you said about the music, that's really stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's such a small detail, really, in the whole scheme of things, but it says a lot about the decisions they're making.
It really does. Like, are we going to get those classic John Williams themes, that instant nostalgia hit?
Right.
Or will they go for a whole new sound? Something that shows it's a fresh start, a different take.
It's like picking your wand,
Yeah.
you know? Do you go for the classic Elderwood or try something unexpected?
Totally. Blackthorn, maybe.
Yeah. Each choice has a different energy, you know, a different meaning.
And that all comes down to the tone they're going for, right? That lighthearted, magical feel of the first few films. Or something darker, more mature, like the later books.
I'm starting to think they might try to do both. Blend that familiar magic we loved with something a bit edgier, you know?
Oh, interesting.
Explore those darker parts of the wizarding world that the movies only hinted at.
It's risky, but it could be amazing. Draw in a whole new crowd while still giving us old fans what we want. It's all about finding that balance, the old and the new.
And that's what's so fun to unpack with all this. It's not just dates and names, it's looking at the bigger picture, you know? Their creative choices, what they tell us about their vision for Harry Potter.
Like we're all peering into the pensive, trying to catch those little glimpses of the thought process behind it all.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about being a fan. The anticipation, the theorizing, all the possibilities. We're part of this unfolding story, this massive experiment in bringing this world back to life.
And in this deep dive, that's what we're really looking at. Not just the what, but the why. What are they hoping to achieve? What kind of impact do they want to have? How will they shape how a new generation sees Harry Potter?
And the best part, we get to watch it all happen week after week, episode after episode, like we're back at Hogwarts, waiting for the next lesson, the next adventure.
Minus the exams and Snape's detentions, thankfully.
Oh yeah, that's a plus. But even without the homework stress, there's that same feeling of discovery, of learning. That's what I love about these deep dives, about being a fan. It's not passive, you know, it's engaging with it, asking questions, coming away with a deeper understanding.
It's about holding on to that curiosity, that sense of wonder that drew us in the first place.
So while we wait for the premiere, let's keep talking about it. Share your theories, your hopes, your worries. What are you most excited about? What makes you nervous? What do you think this new chapter holds for the wizarding world?
And most importantly, what does it mean for you? How has Harry Potter touched your life, and how do you hope this new series carries that forward? It's a big question, but worth thinking about as we go on this new journey together.
So well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with one last thing to ponder. Imagine you could give the showrunners one piece of advice. What would it be? What do you hope they never lose sight of as they bring this world back to life? Let the magic guide you. Until next time, keep the conversation going and keep the magic alive.